Hello and welcome to this special program where we want to bring you information about a really interesting new property portfolio management platform that's become available that you can use in these very changing times to really be on top of your existing portfolio, but also to manage and identify and make decisions based on the risks of things you want to add to your portfolio. I'm joined in this call by Aviram Shahar, who's the founder and CEO of the Lendlord platform, and by Vanessa Warwick from Property Tribes, who are a key collaborator and partner in the development and implementation of the platform and all the education that sits around that. So hello to both of you guys. And Aviram, if I could start with you, what's the kind of thinking and vision behind creating this platform?
Thank you, Graham. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for hosting us. When we started Lendlord almost a year ago, we started when we identify a problem for portfolio landlords to find finance. This is how it started. Then we realized, okay, we can, with technology, take a portfolio data, analyze it, and match it to lenders according to their criteria. We started with this POC, and when landlords and property investors started to use the platform, we got more and more requests to enhance the functionality. And then it started to become a platform, a place for them to store in a secure way the property details for the entire portfolio, track their due dates, manage their tenants and tenancies, and of course get the finance insights. And this is like how it started. And I think this is the nice thing of like our journey, that we enhance the platform and we keep enhancing it every day by a lot of feedback that we get. And the partnership we did with Property Tribes definitely was a key for that, because we got so much feedback from Property Tribes community, and this helped us like to build a great platform for landlords that now becoming almost like a one-stop shop, because they can also manage their existing properties. And with the latest release of the deal analyzer, they can also look on potential acquisitions and look at how their portfolio might look in different scenarios. So, and I think, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Vanessa, what was it about this sort of platform that excited you to want to get involved from the sort of Property Tribes perspective?
Well, actually, Graham, I first came across Lendlord with my landlord hat on, and I see scores of these kind of software platforms sent to me to get my opinion, or because they're interested in a partnership with Property Tribes. And I'd looked at many of these kind of platforms before, and none of them had really ticked all my boxes in terms of what I, as a landlord of 17 years experience, required from such a platform. But when I tried Lendlord, I immediately got very, very excited. It was so intuitive, so easy to use, so quick to input my portfolio. And I started to see all these insights and data appearing before my very eyes in a matter of seconds. There was this huge instant gratuity from just plugging in data and starting to use it. And I went to Nick, my husband, who's more of the tech person than I am. And that's a pretty important thing to say, that actually I'm not that tech orientated, but I still really got on with Lendlord very, very well as soon as I started using it. And I showed it to Nick, and his eyes lit up as well, and he said, "You're right, Vanessa, this is the best bit of kit we've seen for a very long time." And we approached Lendlord and started a dialogue with Aviram, and they came on board as a commercial partner of Property Tribes. But since then it's developed into a much more collaborative relationship, where Nick has acquired a 10% shareholding in Lendlord as well. So we're very, very invested in the future success of Lendlord ourselves. We believe in it 100%, and we know that in these kind of post COVID-19 times where risk has definitely been amplified, that Lendlord is you know, a fantastic product to have at your fingertips to manage your business and help mitigate risk, which, you know, we all agree is going to continue to amplify going forward into the unknown.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, you mentioned COVID-19, which has become the overarching theme of 2020. So Aviram, why do you think this is a particularly timely moment at which to launch this platform? And what kind of capabilities can it help with in this COVID-19 world?
Good question. I think first, it's a place to understand what you have. Make order with all the mess usually you keep in spreadsheets and documents. And as Vanessa mentioned, instantly you can see the key metrics at your fingertips, and you can see how much you have in equity, what is your gross cash flow, what is your net cash flow, how your portfolio is performing. We have now like a property that is underperforming or a property that is outperforming. Perhaps you need to make some decisions. What is your finance situation? You have like now options to refinance some of your properties and portfolio. Perhaps you can get better rates. We have an engine that runs every week and searches for remortgage opportunities if something in the profile has changed for the landlord or something in the market has changed. And we invest a lot in terms of automation. So you just need to put your data once and keep, you know, if there are changes to update the data. But after that, you will receive the insights into your notification sidebar or into your inbox. And by that, we can give the control to the landlord during the COVID-19 period. And it's related to something that I saw your interview in terms of stress testing your portfolio. And it was, I think, even earlier to the COVID-19 crisis. And I think that what we did during COVID-19, we released a stress test feature. So the landlord can stress test each property and the entire portfolio under risk to see like if they are now stopping get the income that they expect to get in the next 3 months, what is the risk level and how much buffer they have, how much runway they have for the property level and the portfolio level. And this helped us because we did some like a press release for that, and we got since then our like growth and engagement numbers are going up. And I think because of that, especially in this time, technology platforms like Lendlord that you can put your details in one place and see the metrics, see the insights, make better decisions based on data, less on intuition. It's definitely something that you need to use, especially these days.
Okay, and from your perspective, Vanessa, what sort of functionality are you finding most helpful at the moment for how you manage your current portfolio and perhaps look at any future acquisitions?
Well, all our properties are fully managed, so I'm using it much more as kind of headline data about the return on investment from the entire portfolio, the individual properties, how they're performing, and really, you know, you can understand which are the best properties, the best performing properties in your portfolio. As Aviram said, you know, you might be thinking about, you know, revising your portfolio, selling some underperforming assets, and perhaps changing strategy because of COVID-19. You might be thinking about maybe selling some underperforming buy-to-lets and transferring into the holiday let sector, for instance, which, you know, I think we'll talk about this another time, but there's going to be a very big boom in holiday lets, I think, for obvious reasons, because people aren't going to be traveling. Or indeed, you could take an existing buy-to-let property that's on single occupancy and maybe test it out as a holiday let and see what kind of returns you get on that. And I think it's so useful that you can do many different scenarios, and what we tend to advise is to do a best case scenario and a worst case scenario, and then you'll probably end up somewhere in the middle of that. But you know, COVID-19 did expose weak business models. I think there's that famous saying that when the tide is out, you see who's swimming naked. And we had landlords coming on to property tribes who had, like one property with a net cash flow of, I don't know, £100 a month. And they were worried that they couldn't support that property, even for just one void month. And those margins are far, far too slim to be operating in normal conditions. But post COVID-19, we're going to have much stronger margins. We're going to have a cash buffer. We're really, really going to have to understand how our properties are performing, if there's one dragging down the whole portfolio, and just you can't afford in this environment to just bumble along without fully understanding your portfolio from every angle. And I think that's what's so powerful about Lendlord, is that it does allow you to do that. And for some of your more elite investors, Graham, with large portfolios of commercial, residential, and other kind of property investments, for them, I think they'll absolutely love it, because it's going to give them very, very, very granular data of how their assets are performing. And this is the way it's going in the property sector for landlords. The government has been trying to professionalise the sector last 5 years for all the measures and regulation and taxation issues that have been brought in. But COVID-19 is actually accelerating that process towards the professional landlord who fully understands their business. And Lendlord is going to be supporting that transition from probably a less professional landlord into a much more professional landlord. And landlords should take advantage of these digital tools. They're fantastic, and they can be operated, you can work anywhere in the world as long as you've got a smart device and an internet signal. So even landlords that may be trapped in a foreign country because of the COVID-19 outbreak could have carried on managing and understanding their portfolio.
Okay, well, Aviram, Vanessa talked there about some of the perhaps less experienced landlords. What was the kind of range of users you're seeing within the Lendlord platform at the moment? How big and how small are some of the portfolios that are actually being used with the tool?
So it's a good point. I think Lendlord is good for newcomer landlords. And today I had a demo call with a potential user that just started his journey in property. He bought one property and he wants to continue. And it's a great platform for him, because with Lendlord, he can understand, he can first, explore new opportunities. First, in terms of numbers, we have also some postcode data that we use like a third-party provider for that. But he can also be on track on the growth of the future portfolio and make better decisions, even if he just starting. I think the majority of our users currently are the professional ones, and they find a place, as I said, like to make an order with their portfolio right now, understand the key metrics, and it helps them make better decisions and also be on track. And these are like the side things that we started to add to the platform. And so now they can also manage the tenancies. They can make all the they get alerts on all the due dates. Gas safety, EPCs, landlord insurance renewals, all of those stuff in one platform. So it's becoming a place for them to first see their metrics and the performance of their portfolio, but also helps them to manage some of the properties. It's not replacing a letting agent, but it definitely provides much more information to the landlord than he used to have till now.
Okay, so obviously quite a few people are already using the platform. Vanessa, what kind of feedback are you getting from people who've actually got some experience with Lendlord?
Well, I have to say that the feedback has been universally so positive. And we've got a core group of really avid users who really love it, and are really, digging deep in there and diving in, and they're feeding back to us a lot of features that they want to see, helping develop the roadmap for the platform. And I've worked with tech products before. Nick and I developed one about 10 years ago, which failed miserably, but we learned so much from it. And working with Lendlord, it's one of those things that it's not like kind of pushing a boulder up a hill, if you like. Everybody just really responds so positively to it, and it's very gratifying for the entire team, both at Lendlord and Property Tribes, that people are just taking to it like a duck to water. And even people that perhaps are used to their spreadsheets and their post-it notes, the traditional analog thinker landlord, even they are saying, gosh, this is incredible. I input my portfolio in 15 minutes and I'm so excited to see the metrics starting to appear. So universally positive feedback about it. And we listen to everything that people report about it and the ideas they have, and we discuss them internally, and if suitable, we put them onto the roadmap. So it really is created by landlords for landlords.
Okay, and I think the thing that perhaps we shouldn't go too much further without pointing out is that, at least at the moment, the platform is available free of charge to the end user, and it's being funded through an affiliate model with the mortgage companies and so on. Do you want to just explain how that works for us?
Yeah, so we are aiming to keep it free, and this is like what we're currently trying to do. The way we monetize the platform is by introducing Lendlord's providers to our users, but it's based on their events. So if, let's say, you have now a mortgage product that is about to expire, you will get a notification first to be aware of that. And second, if you want to use our provider, you can start a process. You'll not have to do that, and we will not pass on your details without your explicit permission. But if you use that and you use our provider, we get a commission out of that. We implemented something that that we call give back points. So if we get a commission, we also reward our users with reward points that they can convert to a donation. If they earn more than 200 points, then they can make a donation. And this is like the way that we can encourage them to do the deals with our providers. So it's currently on mortgages. On insurance, we have Ellen Boswell. We have a compliance provider for EPC and gas safety checks. And we have conveyancing providers. And there is a panel in the platform, so landlords that wants to visit this page, they can visit and they can start the process with our providers. But as a note, we are not selling the data. We are not passing on details without permissions, and it's very important to say. And this is like what we are now trying to do in terms of monetization, to keep it free, monetize it by using our provider.
Just sorry, Graham, I was just going to chip in there, because I just wanted to say what we're trying to do is to create an ecosystem that once a landlord comes into it, they go onto their dashboard and everything is there at their fingertips to manage their landlord life. And then part of that ecosystem is the legitimate and trusted services of our providers, their products and services that we've done due diligence on and that we're trusted and we know. And also part of the ecosystem is Property Tribes, which is kind of, I guess, like a welcome mat into Lendlord, because that's where you get your educational inputs from. And when we do our educational webinars with Lendlord, we're using real life landlord situations and applying them to the Lendlord software, so we can bring it alive to people, so they can see it in action, and that penny will drop and they'll think, oh, that's incredible, I didn't know I could do that, and I can see the value of that, and just really bring it alive. And I used the analogy before, but it was a bit like when I was taught French at school. In my day, we sat in language labs with headphones on, just repeating stuff, and it didn't feel like any kind of, I couldn't get inspired by it. But then when we went on a trip to France, I was able to go into a shop and order some sweets in French. And suddenly I had this epiphany. I guess it's the difference between practical and kind of theory as well. But we really wanted to use the educational resources of Property Tribes to deliver real life landlord experiences and practical examples of where you can use Lendlord to enhance your landlord life.
Okay, well, I mean, I've had a brief road test of the platform, and there's a huge amount of functionality already in there. So, Aviram, as we look forward, what are the additional things that you want to put into the product roadmap?
So currently we support portfolio management, tenants and tenancies management, mortgage options, and deal analyzing options for your prospect properties and your existing ones. We are working now on other aspects of the landlord life. One is tax. So currently you can track your expenses on Lendlord and see your net cash flow over time. We are working with a tax advisor, trusted tax advisor, to implement some features around that. And it will be, again, something that based on your data, but also will allow you to do some what-if scenarios. So let's say what my tax will be if I will change this. So this is one aspect. The other aspect, again, everything comes from feedback that we get, is to prepare like a property page and deep dive into more metrics on a specific property. And there are many other more, and we also look at perhaps becoming it a global platform, so to open it to other markets. On an advisory board, there are a US real estate broker that help us to develop and implement the deal analyzer, so it's already compatible to the US real estate investors. So we think that Lendlord can be a worldwide platform for property investors and landlords around the world. So it's another thing on our plan. And yeah, and there are many things.
Okay, well, there's a link below the video where anyone that wants to get onto the platform now can do so. But perhaps we should finish our conversation with a bit of a quick demo and a quick road test of Lendlord.
So this is the dashboard of Lendlord. In the dashboard, you can see a high-level summary of your portfolio. You can see what is your portfolio LTV, how much you have in equity, what is your estimated value of the entire portfolio. The potential savings, this is the algorithm that we run to find cost-saving opportunities for you on your mortgages. You can see your rent collection status, so how much already paid this month and how much is due, and if you have overdue receipt as well. You can look at historical growth of your cash flow and some metrics like yield and cash on cash. You can see your portfolio growth over the years, over like, I think that we keep like 60 months back. You can see your equity growing or not growing. You can see in the dashboard your next due dates. So if you have a gas certificate, safety certificate expiry, or HMO license due date, it can be tenancy agreement end date and more. You can link to your stress tests. I think like in one click we can see it. So you can see your risk level on each property and like the best case scenario, and the worst case scenario on the right side, and for your entire portfolio. And you want to keep it above as much more like than 100%. So this is the dashboard. You have also the notification. So if something come up, then you need to take care of it. Mortgage product expiry, landlord insurance, gas certificate, and more. The main screen is the My Portfolio screen. And this is the way you can manage all of your property details. And you can see at a glance above the table the summary of all the properties that you now see. You can apply filters. So if I want to see only the private owned properties, I can do it in one click. If I want to see only the company owned properties, if I own properties in different companies, I can also filter by that. I can filter by applicants, owner, and I can add my prospect property as well if I have some on my pipeline. We also introduced views feature, so you can change the view of the table, so to see like different views for different matters. So for instance, here I just want to see the equity of each property. So I prepared this view, and I can order by to see by the lowest to the highest and see how much equity I have currently on each property. And of course, I can apply filters. I can select the different set and combination of properties. The deal analyzer, and this is like the new release, will allow you to take existing property and analyze it for the next 12 months and for the long term, according to some assumptions. You can see your long-term ROI, you can see the next year ROI. And you can also estimate and evaluate a new acquisition by basically two inputs. You need to put the purchase price and the expected rent, and after that you need just to tweak the data. So how much you will have in stamp duty. We implemented the new regulation, so it's already in here. You can put how much you have to put in. You want to put in refurbishment, perhaps furnishing. Put some buffer. This is like something that we always say. Be on the conservative side in terms of costs and expenses. Put your closing costs if you have legal fees and mortgage fees. And then this is like the way that you add details, you understand the real picture. Perhaps my ROI in the first, it might be negative because I have much more costs to put above, on top of the purchase price. Then you can play with the cash investment, how much you should put in cash or how much you want to put. And of course, it will impact your loan. And you can use like our loan mortgage engine to get also some tailor-made products for you and pick them and see how it impacts your metrics. You can also play with the assumptions for the long term. What will be the property appreciation, the rent appreciation, inflation, and see how it impacts the metrics. And you can get some estimations on postcodes, like what was the 5 years capital growth, that can give you some indication on your assumptions. You can get also property demand, and this is like used by, we use an API of a company called Property Data that have many sources in terms of postcodes in the UK. So this is like the deal analyzer. There are many other features. You can manage your profit and loss and track your monthly expenses. And you can track basically your net cash flow over the years. And also here you can see it for the entire portfolio or select a specific property or combination of few properties together. And you can also upload receipts. You can export the data and send to your accountant. So this is like another module that is like very in use by our users. And I think that the last page I will show, it's the services, and we spoke about the way that we monetize. I want to speak about the benefit of using it because you can track your processes online. If you, let's say, choose to work with our mortgage provider, then you will get to your email the status of the mortgage application. And this is like another benefit to use, and this is what Vanessa said, like a one ecosystem that you can manage your processes for getting rent insurance or getting an EPC in one place, track this process online and get notification to your email. You can interact with your provider as well and benefit by earning some giveback points and make a donation. There are many other more, features, and we can deep dive. I think in terms of high level, Vanessa, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is like the high level picture of the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Very impressive. And I think for the majority of landlords who are still perhaps using it, as you say, Excel spreadsheets and post-it notes, I think you start to see some of the power coming through there from having that all in one place. So thanks very much for showing it to us, Aviram, and thanks for you and Vanessa joining us today.
Oh, well, thank you, Graham. Lovely to speak to you as always.
Thank you very much, Graham. Thank you for your time.